If you felt stuck trying to lose weight, you're not alone. Enter Weight Loss by Hers. It's designed to support you in reaching your goals. And Hers now offers access to an affordable range of FDA-approved GLP-1 medications, including the Wegovy pill and the Wegovy pen. With Wegovy at Hers, lose up to 20% or more of your body weight when combined with diet and exercise. It helps you regulate your appetite, eat less, and keep weight off. Plus, Wegovy is the first GLP-1 available in a pill, so there are no needles needed. Everything is 100% online through Hers. You'll connect with a licensed provider who will determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is delivered right to your door. No insurance necessary. And it doesn't stop there. Weight Loss by Hers goes beyond medication by offering access to 24/7 messaging with your care team and tons of in-app lifestyle and nutrition tips like recipes, meal plans, fitness videos, sleep content, and more. Even better, with a range of affordable GLP-1 options, Hers makes it simple to find an approach that fits your needs and your budget if eligible. You'll get a treatment plan personalized to you and unlimited dosage changes as needed. It's weight loss designed to work with your life. Ready to reach your goals? Visit forhers.com/women to get personalized, affordable care that gets you. That's forhers.com/women. forhers.com/women. Weight Loss by Hers is not available in all 50 states. Wegovy is the registered trademark of Novo Nordisk A/S. To get started and learn more, including important safety information, Wegovy clinical study information, and restrictions, visit forhers.com.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
Told a lot of lies about achievement. They called you when they got you to believe it. Thumb and finger held to their foreheads in an L shape. Trapped in a capitalist hellscape. Let's fight back and have some talks about class and the massive cost of the disastrous plots of fascists and Nazis, fat cats and fox. It's 1,000 natural shocks. A Bad with Money podcast.
Hello and welcome to 1,000 Natural Shocks, a Bad with Money podcast. I'm your host, Gabe Dunn, and with me today we have Aidan Wharton. Do you want to tell my audience who you are and what you do?
Oh my God, I would love to. Hi, audience. Hello, listeners. My name is Aidan Wharton. I am the writer of Gay Buffet on Substack and the host of the podcast Getting Close, which is all about reviving connection in our digitally isolated world.
Yeah, can you explain, I was about to say, like, getting close. Can you explain, like, why you wanted to do that?
Yeah, the podcast or the name?
Both.
Yes. It started with Gay Buffet over on Substack, which I've been writing for a couple years now. And it really sort of took off. And as I was talking to my agent, he was like, what's next? Like, what are we going to do next? And he wanted a book. And I was like, I feel like a book is the third step, and I feel like a podcast is step number 2.
Very smart.
I really found that no matter what I wrote about, so on Gay Buffet, I write a lot about like queer culture and sex and intimacy and connection. And in every article, like the through line was connection. And I'm fascinated by tech and how it is driving us apart, driving us away from each other. So I was like, okay, this through line that I'm doing, everything that I'm writing about is all about connection. So I really want to build a podcast, make a podcast that inspires people and gives them actionable tools to understand the world that we're living in and then find more connection in their lives. So, you know, we have therapists and scientists and cultural figures all sort of giving people advice about like ways they can find connection in all sorts of avenues. So like there's relationships, we've had like some fitness people connecting to your body. We have a money one coming up, and how like queer people interact with money differently. So it's like a really nice variety within all this like umbrella of connection.
Why do you think people are not close anymore?
The phones.
That's it? We've solved
Full
it?
stop. Full stop. You know, I think our phones and social media have done incredible things. You know, we can have conversations across thousands of miles. There are lots of things that we can do that were physically impossible beforehand. And I think that they are in the hands of some pretty brutal capitalist figures who do not care about our well-being. And so a lot of what I do, a lot of what I am fascinated by are the ways in which the programs that we use, the apps that we use, the platforms that we use are controlling us without us knowing it, because we actually don't have any agency at all. But we think we do because they want us to think that we do, because then we won't get upset. How addictive they are, and what Instagram is doing to make us stay on the app, how Grindr is manipulating us to make sure that we get just frustrated enough so that we want to buy the premium tier. And it's just all of these little ways that they're controlling us and making us more anxious and isolated. And that like really has huge effects on us in person. Like we just are fighting all the time on the internet, and then we hate each other in real life.
Yeah. Yesterday, Instagram cleaned out like millions of accounts. Just I don't know why they didn't give a reason. People were worried it was a glitch. I lost like 5K followers in a day.
Wow.
But it was interesting to me because so much of my career is based on social media, and it really gave me this jolt of it shouldn't be that way because someone else is in charge of my career. I think of myself as freelance. I think of myself as my own boss. But what I realized yesterday upon waking up and seeing that was that, oh, I actually am at the mercy of these conglomerates and monopolies, because how do I get my work out there? It's through that.
Right.
And if I don't have that, what is my backup plan in order to be able to share my work and to make a living? It was like a very strong like, oh, fuck, they control my income actually. And I don't know these people.
Yeah, I mean, they control everything. And they don't care about us at all.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so destabilizing. And I really recognize the irony of also being somebody whose entire livelihood is based on the internet and social media. And yet it really is the thing that I think is sort of driving us apart.
Right. And I remember when I was younger, closeted, and a lot of my ability to see queerness came from the internet. I'm a millennial. So I was up on LiveJournal and things like that, message boards, if you can believe. So that was amazing for creating connection and to seeing the outside world. And so it leads me to this defensiveness where I want to say, no, the internet's good. The internet's good. It's like if I was looking at the printing press and being like, no, that was really great what Gutenberg did. But like, why would that? I'm like nostalgia and like thinking of a thing that doesn't exist anymore.
You know, it is all dependent on who is in power of that thing.
Right.
And the internet is actually, like you said, really influential in the coming out process and early years for a lot of queer people. It was huge for me as well. You know, I would watch Queer as Folk on YouTube after my parents went to bed, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, what? This is crazy. And it is. There's like so much necessary information out there. But then again, I think we get really complacent, and a lot of the work that I do, I sort of do surveys and research on Instagram that then I write about on Substack. A lot of the trends are just we're slowly migrating away from each other, and we're slowly migrating away from feelings of discomfort that come with interacting with people in real life and having these conversations. And so it's not inherently bad, but what I really want to help people see are the patterns that are forming because of them, and then with that information they can make an informed decision. Yeah,
I remember when I was 25, I was dating this guy who was like 10 years older than me, and I was talking to him and I said, you know, what would I have done when I was 14 and I was closeted and stuff, like without the internet? What would I have done?
Right.
And now I still think about it. He was like, you would have made some zines and gone to shows. Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Because I was like, I would have just been alone and I wouldn't have known any queer people. And he's like, that's not true. He wasn't queer, but he was like, you think people didn't do that before the internet? And I was like,
it's like the
damn.
matchboxes of the 50s, you know,
Right.
we always find a way.
Yeah, I was like, damn, you are right. And did I lose something by not doing that?
Yeah, I think we did and we didn't. I think each generation has its own baggage that will follow us, right? I'm like, I look back at, I would use chat rooms and like Omegle, like chat with strangers to like be like, oh my God, I'm, you know, figuring out my sexuality. And I wonder, I'm like, well, what did that do to my developing brain that made me much more comfortable texting and chatting and talking about this? Would I have gone out and done it in person otherwise, or would I have just suffered sort of through that alone?
What do you think of the male loneliness epidemic?
I think it is real. I think it is brutal. I think it's that complicated balance between how do we solve a problem without centering it, and like it's such a complex, tangled web, right? And I think it has to be looked at really brutally and honestly, because that is where a majority of these problems are coming from. I think I'm not apologizing for men, but I think there is a lot of really intentional messaging aimed at young men these days that are making them angry and looking for structure. And that has come out of this like big, what I thought was a beautiful liberal bubble that we had, 10 years ago. And now we're seeing the backlash. And I just saw an ad or like some story about an ad for Man cereal.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, it's a new cereal. It's Man cereal. That's the name. It has creatine and protein and all of this stuff. And, it was sort of the epitome of this sort of manosphere culture that we live in right now. And I'm like, on one hand, it's terrifying and awful. And on the other hand, we like have to talk to people about it, because if we want to raise a generation of men who are kinder and more empathetic, we got to start somewhere. I don't know. It's so tricky.
It's so funny because I have like a protein cereal that's like Kashi. I'm like, you can just get a protein cereal. It doesn't have to be called Man cereal. They make those.
And it's literally, I think the tagline is like, put some balls in your cereal.
They make
and I'm like,
protein
that's so
cereal.
gay. That's so inherently gay.
If you need more protein for working out, they already have cereals for that.
Right? And I'm like, if you want creatine, just like put that in your milk.
Yeah, they already have
we got
it.
options.
Yeah. It is interesting. Like, feeds in on itself, right? It makes these men more conservative, more antisocial, learning to think negatively about women. And then they are frustrated when the women don't like that.
Right.
And that creates this thing that you read about all the time, this divide in Gen Z, which I'm not a scientist, but, in heterosexuality, the women are like, I don't need to waste my time with this mean man. And the man is like, oh, the women don't care about me. And it just like is an Ouroboros eating itself.
Yes, it is. It's not good, yes, but good on Ouroboros. Yeah, there's what is the term? NEETs, which is no education, employment, or trade. The T might be wrong. Yeah, just like of these young men who don't think they need to go to school and spend a lot of time alone, and they don't need to be employed because they're just trading stocks. And so they're really isolated, and then just spend all their time on message boards getting this further validation that what they're going through is normal and it's not their fault, and it's the fault of, we all need to blame someone.
It's hard because daily life is rejection.
Right.
It's rejection all the time. And I talk to a lot of people now, and I don't know if this was always true, where the anxiety level towards any minor rejection is through the roof.
Yeah.
If you go on the bus and the bus driver's like, walk faster, the person's like, I gotta go home. And I get it. No, I mean, I've seen it, right? Like, I can't ever go to this coffee shop ever again. I had an awkward interaction with the barista. Okay. Or there's like a level of tolerance for discomfort that is 0.
Yes.
And that's hard because I get it. Going out in the world is playing like Frogger in some ways, where you're just kind of, there's things happening and you don't have total control over your environment, and you might have a negative interaction with someone.
Right.
And I've been lucky, I think, in my life to experience rejection over and over again, which gives you a tolerance for it. Oh, what if I ask this person out and they say no? Okay, then they say no. Like, I don't know. It's tough. People are like always like, oh wow, that's so brave of you. I'm like, I don't think it's like brave. I think the person is like, no thank you. And then I'm like, well, you're an adult and I'm an adult. C'est la vie.
It's building up this distress tolerance. And I think going all the way back to our phones and maybe even just broader culture right now, there is such a small threshold for discomfort because everything is designed to be as easy and as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And as frictionless as possible. Okay, I'm hungry. Great. I can get anything I want within minutes. You know, there's this food hall essentially called Wonder here in New York. And their whole advertising thing is like, no longer do you have to argue with your family about what to have for dinner. You can order from a different restaurant for everyone. And it's like this individualistic culture where we no longer have to compromise. We no longer have to make sacrifices for each other. And so then we go out into the world and these little tiny offenses become huge because we're not practiced at it at all. And then we're like, why would I go out and sit in a loud restaurant with somebody who could be mean to me when I just order it and stay at home and don't talk to anyone?
Yeah, and I get it. I wonder how much of this too is American in some ways. And I was traveling in Latin America and now I've become the worst person you know who like is
Tell me about it. I want to know the details.
No, I was like doing this character with my friend when I came back where I was like the worst person you know just got back from Buenos Aires. And it's like just, oh, well, you know, in Argentina, and I was like, I'm unbearable.
Yeah.
Like, it felt less stressful to me because I think there was less of a, I don't know, people are just like mean here. There's like less of a jarringness to stuff and a rush.
We're just so
stuff.
Individualistic. Like, we don't care about each other in the same way. And there's I think it was Michelle Obama's first podcast episode where she talks about just we've lost the ability to sacrifice for our community.
Exactly. Yes.
And I think that applies to the queer community too, like really massively right now, where anyone's inconvenience to you becomes this massive threat. And we've become unable to set aside our differences to actually focus on what matters.
What are examples of that?
Again, so we're in these silos of information. And I have found, and like I will acknowledge, like I am a cisgendered white man. I sort of check like all of the privilege boxes, and a majority of the negative interactions that like I have on social media are just other queer people sort of like negging.
Yeah.
And I really recognize, like, I try to, as best I can, like, how I fit into this ecosystem. And then I'm just like, well, what would it take for us to just, like, be nice to each other?
Right. I know.
And not in the sort of right-leaning coded, like, we should just all be nice. But it's like, how do we actually be nice to each other so that we can unify and take down the right and start actually fighting for what we need and fighting for progress and fighting for our entire community versus fighting within our entire community?
A lot of it is based on assumptions.
Right.
Like, I mean, look, I'm a trans guy. I got to gay men as another gay man, like, I don't know, 4 years ago. So, you know, I'm sort of Jane Goodalling in there. And there's so many assumptions and so much resentment. One guy that I know that everyone loses their minds because he's so handsome, his backstory, he used to be really big and now he's like obsessed with fitness.
Great.
So he's like obsessed with fitness, and this is like, and it's maybe not 100% healthy, but all of a sudden there's so much validation. So then people treat him kind of like shit, like the negging, but he doesn't have the background of someone you should neg.
Right.
And so there's like this assumption, but it might come back to no one talks to each other. So there's basically this idea that you are the stereotype of what they've just seen of you. You are exactly what they've just encountered. Or someone who's extremely effeminate, who maybe either, people I've spoken to are either kind of going through a gender thing where they're considering, like, they're like, you know, am I a trans woman? They're not sure. Or they used to be in a situation where they weren't allowed to express themselves that way. So now they do express themselves that way, and everyone's just meeting them on that exact moment of like, this is what you're like, and like, fuck you. Like, it's not, there's no extension of backstory to anyone.
No, not at all. I mean, a big part of what I talk about on Instagram specifically, but and Substack, is open relationships, right? And me and my husband. And we learned this very quickly right away. So for Valentine's Day, I had a cancellation on the podcast. So he stepped in. He's like, let's just let's talk about our relationship. And I was like, oh my God, cute. Great episode. Like we had so much fun, and we posted some clips, and one of them was about how we started our open relationship and the way that it blew up so negatively and positively. Like people were like, oh, this is a great representation. And then so many people judging our body language, judging what my husband said, judging what I said, making their assumptions about our relationship. And I was like, you're making an assumption based on 50 seconds of an hour-long clip about an 8-year relationship.
Yeah.
And you're saying like definitively, this is what's happening. And I'm like, you don't know anything about us.
I just saw a thing where it was a bunch of guys, and I really respected them for talking about it. It was like 4 guys, and they were talking about how anytime that they're nice to a woman on the internet, there'll inevitably be some guy who says like, she's not going to let you hit, bro.
Right.
As if that is the only reason. And they were talking about how it really jars them and how they were like so confused by how often. And the one guy was talking about how, and I think this about men and everybody on the internet, but there's a repetition of phrases, right? Because, and this is, I mean, this like trips me up a lot, where it's like, they're not going to let you hit is like just a catch-all. He was saying it's weird to see like 50 people comment the same thing because they don't have an original thought. It's similar, I'm sure, to like, oh, poly, like it has to be one person suffering. And that's the repetitive thought. And then these people are saying, oh, I know, but they're just repeating one repetitive thought that they've been given in their mind. So it's this very jarring, and I notice it too on anything I post that's like politics or anything I post that has to do with transness. I'm very fixated on the repetitive comments. And even some of them you look and it's like, this is clearly a bot that's been trained to say this. But more jarringly, there are accounts that seem like they're real and they're just repeating the same talking point over and over again. And so the bots have then infected the real people with this is what's going on. And they're so sure. For instance, if I am liberal in any way, there's like, well, Biden did this. And I'm like, my sweet baby angel, I don't give a fuck what Biden did. You think that everything that I'm doing here is to defend Biden? Well, when Obama deported people, baby, I don't give a fuck what Obama did.
That was 10 years ago at this point.
I don't even care. That was 10 years ago. And also what he did was fucked up. Like, I don't know. It's this very strange, like you're not talking to another person. You're talking to a 2D avatar of a person.
Correct. And that is called the online disinhibition effect, which is exactly what happens.
Go on.
Yeah. I mean, we become much more emboldened because we don't have the same like empathy response, because we can just send it and we don't have to deal with the response of the person. There's like a significant time window. Like you and I having a conversation right now, if I say something rude to you, I have to bear witness to the response that you have, and then I have an empathetic response to that,
right?
Hopefully. But if we're just on the internet, it is my favorite thing to start actually replying to the comments on reels that sort of go far, because they make comments that don't see me as like an actual person. I'll be like, hey, like you're so entitled to your opinion about my relationship. Here's a little bit about me and my husband or whatnot. We become sort of fascinated by what other people are saying in the comments, and then we want to get likes on our own comments, so we say something sort of pointed and angry. And your point makes me think of something I'm researching right now, which is not only what the comments doing to our expression of language, but what AI is doing to our emotional intelligence.
What do you mean?
Because so many people are starting to use AI as therapy. And I got a comment on one of my articles a couple days ago, and I was reading it and I was like, this is AI. There's no way that a human is actually, it was something about like how the emotions are like softly crystallizing within me, and like something, I'm not doing a good job expressing, but I was like, this is assertively never how a human would talk about their own inside emotions.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, like what is happening when somebody goes to a chatbot and is like, what am I feeling? And so I went to ChatGPT to do a test. I was like, I got in a fight with my husband and I can't figure out what I'm feeling. And it started like prompting me. And then if I was, I think, a less emotionally aware person, I would take that and be like, great, that's what I'm feeling. And so we have this distance between what we're actually feeling and how we express what we're feeling that I think is just going to get worse. And people are going to be like, well, this is what ChatGPT said, so you can't argue with me.
Yeah. I can't do everything around here. Deadlines are slipping. I can't just do it all on my own. I need to hire someone. I needed an editor. And I was scrounging. How am I going to find an editor? It was a chaotic mess over here. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. I have personally used Indeed for years. I actually have been hired for 2 jobs off of Indeed. I was able to match my skills with jobs in my area. The only 2 times that I have been hired without any sort of in with the company was through Indeed. So I was pretty stoked to find the people I needed for this podcast, and also to know that I could do that on a place where I have been hired. And if you're looking to hire someone, let's say you're the job looking to hire me, you can use Indeed sponsored jobs as a boost whenever you need to find quality talent. In the minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. That's cuckoo bananas. And so, speaking as someone who has been on both sides of the hiring spectrum, Indeed has helped me in real life spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs.
So you're running out of closet space. The good news? You don't need to stop shopping. You just need to start selling with The RealReal. The RealReal is the world's largest and most trusted resource for authenticated luxury resale. Whether it's that mini bag that can't even fit your phone or those boots you never fully broke in, The RealReal handles everything from photography and copywriting to shipping and pricing. So you can just sit back, get paid, and make room for things that actually feel like you. And with 10,000 plus new arrivals every single day from top designers like Prada, Celine, Louis Vuitton, and Loewe, all for up to 90% off retail, you're bound to find something perfectly on brand to fill that extra closet space with. Plus, this May only, you can get an extra $200 to shop when you sell for the first time. Make room for what feels like you. Go to therealreal.com to start selling and get your extra $200 to keep shopping at therealreal.com. That's therealreal.com. Terms apply.
This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar. I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ Bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 9 plant protein bars, 8 hydration mixes, and 4 mushroom coffee sticks. And now you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping when you go to IQBar.com today and enter promo code BAR20 to get this exclusive offer for our listeners. That's IQBAR.com, promo code BAR20 to get 20% off, plus free shipping. IQBar.com, code BAR20.
I'm in like a real weird, hateful space of the way people communicate online.
Me too.
It's really been sort of mind-blowing. Like I saw something yesterday, and me and my friend Eric share these all the time. Eric, who's been on the show. I saw something yesterday where it was a guy telling a story about how he works at a place, and a guy came in. He said, "Sorry, we're not open past 10:30." And the guy said, "No, on ChatGPT it says you are." And he was like, "Right, but on our actual website." And the guy was like, "No, ChatGPT said." And so they were arguing back and forth. The beginning of the video, he says, "This really happened." Then in the comments, and I'm driving myself insane, in the comments, someone was like, "This isn't even satire. This really happens." Baby, he said that at the beginning of the video. What is happening? And then the thing, the sentence of "this isn't even satire, it's really happening," you see that all the time. That specific sentence commented places all the time. So they're just repeating in order to seem smarter. Or this guy that I follow who debunks AI videos, he posted 3 videos, and then he was like, "What videos of these do you think are AI?" Well, all of them are. And then that's the like jumping off point for him to tell more information. The amount
Wait,
of
what's his handle?
like Jeremy does AI or something.
Okay, great. I'm going to follow him after this.
Something like that. I'm obsessed with this man. He put the 3 videos, then he said, these are all AI, and he goes on to explain. The amount of people who commented, these are AI, which is what the video is about. Aidan, I've lost my mind. I've driven myself insane. And
it's so
I
bad.
do wonder if it's because there's not enough interaction with each other to be able to think about something for longer than 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Or Sabrina Carpenter did this whole thing at Coachella where she had like Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon do these like monologues while they were clearly changing the set, and like everyone's reaction to it was so negative, and I was like, they were like it was too long, and I was like, oh my god, you can't watch something for longer than a minute. And it's Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon. You're going to disrespect. Are you fucking serious? I don't know.
Yeah, our attention spans are shot.
You're at a concert. Like, just be at the concert.
Well, I'm like, I don't even go to concerts anymore because everyone's on their phones.
Yeah.
It sucks. Like, so I came up in theater. That was my life number one.
Sure.
And I hate going to shows now because no matter what, there is somebody in the vicinity around me who I will have to tell to get off their phone. At every single Broadway show I've been to in the past 2 years.
Yeah, I just saw a buddy of mine, Issa Briones, who's on the Pit. She's doing Broadway right now, and she just posted a thing being like, you cannot scream quotes from the Pit at me.
Oh my god, right. I also just saw that. She's in Just in Time, right?
Yeah. What is going on?
Yeah, my husband and I and my dad went to Stranger Things. This must have been in the winter. And truly got in a fight with the man next to us they were late, and then he was texting, and like he reeked of alcohol, and he had the audacity at the end. I sort of picked a fight a little bit at the end. He had like the audacity to think that we were in the wrong by like correcting him, and luckily his wife came up and was like, no honey, you're being an asshole, it's time to go.
Thank God.
But it just it made me so mad
because you're watching things at home.
Right.
And so you're not used to it. I don't know. I really, it's tough because, again, like to link back to this show, nobody has any money. So nobody's doing things outside their home because they don't have any money. And there's no social services to create situations where you could do something. And so people like aren't going to concerts. So maybe when they do go, they're not aware of the etiquette, or if they go to the movie theater, they don't know the etiquette for a movie.
Right. Or they think, well, I've spent this, so who are you to tell me how to exist here? You know? Yeah.
That's really true. Yeah, there's nobody has any money. And so I think also, you hear people saying like, oh, I'm not going to go on a date that's not like 100% a guarantee or something. I'm not going to test a date because I don't have any money. And so why would I test a date? And then men especially are like, oh, it's just so toxic. I'm going to spend money for like not to get anything. It's like, well, yeah, them's the breaks.
And again, we're in this like goal-oriented mindset where all we want is something. One of the podcasts I just recorded was my friend Chris Bustamante, and we were talking about erectile dysfunction and performance anxiety and sort of like men's sexual health, and we spent a significant amount of the episode talking about like testosterone and how men, like cisgender men, are in this hyper-focused, results-oriented mindset where they want to be able to maximize everything because that's the culture. Optimization. And everything has to have a goal. You can't do anything that's not goal-oriented, and then it's just so spooky, and it's not helping them. And especially because a lot of young men these days who spend a lot of time on the internet don't want even like connection with other people, right? Like a date, they don't care because dating is not important to I think a lot of lower Gen Z and maybe Gen Alpha. Do you know who clavicular is?
Against my will.
Same.
I don't understand how did he get famous, and what is the deal?
Great question. I have no clue, and I also think he's sort of like an epitome of what's wrong. I think like the internet is sort of like mocking and then giving him attention, so he's in this weird balance.
He's like a dating influencer?
He's a looksmaxer who like broke his jaw with like a little tiny hammer. He does meth to keep himself skinny. Like the epitome of
those
this
they just used to be called models in the 90s.
Yes, now they're look maxers.
It used to just be called models. Sorry, models from the 90s, but
it's true.
Yeah,
but
interesting.
The video that really sticks with me is in an interview. He's asked, "Would you rather lose your hair or your dick?" And without,
his dick.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, my dick. Obviously, I would look bad without my hair. Who cares about my dick?"
Right. Yeah. And
So
if
we're
you're a
like,
trans guy, you lose both. No.
yeah.
JK. Right, because why are you looks maxing then? To impress other men.
Right.
And yeah, it's just hard because it's so many things at once. They don't have any money. They feel like women are too liberal or whatever. But that's because they're not getting exactly what they want. A lot of them blame like the Me Too movement for scaring them away from women. But I think that's like a rehashing of every sort of generation deals with like the feminist woman and like the liberal woman, all the way back to like the flappers, where it's like they're dangerous and don't get near them, and they don't care about like and they don't, their ankles are showing, and they don't care about traditional family values and marriage. I'm thinking even back to like Little Women with like Joe.
Oh my gosh.
But it's like you don't so it's like this is a moral panic.
I will even say again, like, and this is not like victimizing myself, but like I deal with this a ton talking about open relationships, where it's either this moral panic about relationships or the other side being like, who cares, everyone's open, so like what the fuck are you talking about? And then the other side being like, open relationships aren't real relationships, you guys are just sluts and whores. So it's like this weird middle ground, but it relates to that because I think everyone's just fucking miserable and we need to take it out on someone. And so if you are single and want to be monogamous, you're going to take that out on the open relationship gays. If you're a man who's not getting laid, you're going to take it out on the women who are not having sex with you. Like, it's just easiest route for your anger that just makes more division.
Be mad at the billionaires. Take that
Please.
same energy and be mad at the people who could end all of your suffering and don't.
Yeah.
I think just take your anger and then take sort of one step back and like, what is causing this beyond the people in that circle? The writing that I do that is the most popular, unfortunately, is stuff that people feel like is affecting them right now, emergency, but it's not looking at the larger system that created this. Like, so we're talking about dating problems, blah, 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 but we're not talking about what you said, which is Grindr is pretty much unusable unless you pay for premium.
Right.
And then you pay for premium and they're feeding you people in a way that will keep you on the app. And then they're making this, all of a sudden, like, I don't have proof of this, but I assume they're realizing the type of person you're interacting with, and then they make it so like, we could feed you more of those people, but paywall.
They put it like right at the bottom of the grid. So it's like as soon as you get to the limit of people that you can see for free, there's like just 3 hot guys. Just
exactly.
Like, right there. And again, it's none of this is accidental. I think my like most egregious example of this is when you open Grindr, there's about 1 second where the screen looks normal, and at the bottom row is chat, inbox, like all the things you're gonna click. And then after 1 second later, that moves up a little bit and it's replaced by an ad. So you go to click it and you click the ad. And it's just so
I've started
awful.
wondering, okay, so this is my conspiracy about Hinge, and it's probably true.
Okay.
I feel like they'll say like someone matched with you.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, oh, okay. And then you'll match them. But then I'm like, I don't think that that's true. I think that they had me do that. Or they'll be like most compatible, and then they'll have you. I think they're just keeping me on there to say, oh, this person matched you, but I don't think they really did. Or it'll be like they'll have it as premium, and it'll be like, you have 140 matches on premium. So do premium. You do premium, and then you look through and you're like, I don't think these people matched me. Like, I don't think this is real. I think they just wanted it to look like I had 140 matches.
Tinder got sued for being too addictive.
Tinder got sued?
Yeah, they like, there was a whole case against them because they're like, you're actually not doing what you're advertising you're doing, which is helping us connect people. You are keeping us on the app. And so that was the base of the lawsuit.
Because you can always just keep swiping for someone else.
When this was back before I was with my husband, or no, it was I think when we broke up. We broke up for like a summer, but I stopped using Tinder because I could like see the algorithm. I'm like, you log on and it's one hot person, and then it's a bunch of people that I'm not interested in, and then as soon as I would start to like get over it, it would just feed me a little bit. And I was like, ooh, this is too spooky.
Based on what you like. Yeah.
Based on the speed of my swiping, I'm sure. Like just the whole thing. Everything is data.
Yeah. And that is spooky, and they keep building these data centers, and people don't realize, I think even the term data center, it's a surveillance collection center. And so they're going to more and more feed you stuff based on what they're surveilling about you, but it won't necessarily be people that you're having a better connection with, and it won't necessarily be stuff that will allow you to meet more people or to have more genuine connections or have better connections, because you're saying like, right, like a ChatGPT telling you like all your friends are evil, break up with them, they're all bad, or you don't need to talk to people, you'll just get, just ask me what I think of this outfit.
Right.
I get nervous about that.
I mean, it's already happening with all of these like AI chatbots that are especially problematic, I think, for queer individuals, because so many rural queer people don't have the same community that either our straight counterparts or their urban counterparts do. And so then you just spend so much time. Like, I even got like a partnership email this morning about an AI sex toy.
Yep.
And I was like, this is the absolute antithesis of everything I stand for. I cannot believe that they reached out thinking I would be interested. But I was just like, no, like we're just losing our ability to be human. And I literally had to like write the response that I'm like, sorry, I'm someone who's like all about authentic human connection. I was like, I can't believe that I'm writing that sentence.
I think it's also hard in the gay community. I will say, like, when I first started transitioning and I was like kind of in an ugly duckling phase, not an ugly duckling phase to other queer people and queer women, but not in the West Hollywood sense. You do get treated like shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like crabs in a bucket where everybody's just kind of trying to step on each other to get to certain levels, but it was very hard to go from sort of like the ways that I'd learned to be a hot girl, which like a lot of trans guys come from sometimes already being butch, where that was not my experience. And so it was hard to go from center of attention in that way to not being the center of attention. And there is little things that creep into your head where you go, oh, women have it so much easier. And then you start to get resentful where you're like, oh, okay, so men are just like treat each other like shit. Gay men only care about looks or height or whatever it is. But later on, I had to get out of the societal whatever of it, because I would say, oh, I need to get abs. And then I would say, okay, Gabe, have you ever been attracted to someone with abs? No.
Yeah.
So why do you need, you've never, whenever you've like stopped and been like, oh, that person's hot, it has never been one of the guys who looks like a WeHo gay. So break that down in your own mind. I have a friend who is a straight man. He dates women who are beautiful. And he was like being very open with me about, we were talking about guy stuff, and he was like being very open with me about like, he's straight, but about like guy stuff. And he was like, my girlfriends are beautiful, yes, but like the most like haunting thought I have is like, I'll never date a model. And I was like, you'll never date a model? And he was like, what for? Like, I just would be interesting to me to have a girl like that be interested in me. And that's never happened, and it never will happen. And I was like, would you even want to be with a girl like that? And he's like, no. And I was like, also, every girl I've ever seen you with is beautiful. They don't look like an Instagram baddie, but they're gorgeous. And so what is that little part of your amygdala that exists, that wants that, and it doesn't even reflect what you actually want?
Right. And it's interesting that it's actually not about wanting her. It's about what her wanting him means about him.
Exactly. So do I actually want a cis guy who looks like that, or is that validating to my maleness to have a guy who looks like that be interested in me? But then you talk to them, and I'm so sorry, but they are brain dead. Sorry to this man. But also not all of them are, and I'm doing the thing where I'm judging someone without knowing their backstory. And not all of them are. But it is fascinating to feel like I wanted the validation of that when I've never once looked at a guy like that and gone beyond like, oh, he's pretty. But I've never been like, wow, I'm attracted to you.
We're obsessed with, ironically, like the metrics of social currency.
Success, exactly.
Right?
Social currency.
I sort of had like an ill-edited video from my podcast this week. So this is a very timely conversation. But it started getting some like pretty negative traction yesterday. And it was about the concept. Do you know who JP Bramer is? Jean-Paul Bramer?
Yes.
He used to write Hola Papi. So he was on the show, and we were talking about this concept of like heaven and hell being other people, right? And that we can make our heavens or hells depending on who we surround ourselves with in life. And I was like, to me, that sounds really emblematic of this very common, I will say, gay male experience where you desperately want to be in that group photo. And then once you get there, you feel empty and you feel lonely and you can't figure out why. The example I used on the podcast was Fire Island. The way the clip was edited was like, it made it sound like I was complaining. And so a bunch of people were like, ugh, this like good looking white gay complaining about Fire Island. Get a hold of yourself. I'm so tired of these. Like it was whatever. But it was fascinating because it's like, again, you come to these issues with your own baggage. And yes. I really wanted to like argue with all of them. And then I was like, I put this on the internet. I just have to like let the internet exist. Yeah. How do we have these conversations? Because a lot of these guys are vapid and dumb.
Right.
And I learned that whatever I say will be interpreted because of how I look, and that we are so distracted by these currency things that we actually don't spend the time understanding what we actually want when we look for community.
Yeah. So I went to, this was also really healing to me in some ways. So I went to this event that is a trans man summer camp.
Oh my God, fun.
It was really fun. It was like a week and you're in the woods with a bunch of trans guys. It's super fun. So I had never been in that large of a group of trans guys. I would say like 30% where I would never be able to tell, not even an inkling. So then I sort of started walking through life and it's like, I'm going to be resentful and say, oh, look at that handsome guy. I have no fucking idea if that's a trans man, even as a trans man. So like I'm walking around and we talked about this, me and a friend who passes 100% of the time, where it's like someone could look at him and be like, oh, fuck you. And he talked about how he gets negged a lot at gay bars where they're like, oh, well, you've never had a problem in your life. Like, go fuck yourself. That's a trans guy, but you just don't know that. He gets treated like shit by gay men, cis gay men, I'm guessing, because they're negging him or they're trying to get with him by treating him like shit. But they don't. But he's like, you have no idea. Like, you would never be able to tell.
Right.
So like a lot of these guys, it was interesting. Now I like walk around and everyone I see, I'm like, trans?
You? You're
like 6 feet tall and have like a full beard and you're handsome, and I would never be able to even clock it a little bit. Fuck you. Like, I'm not gonna be like, so yeah, I don't know. It really made me rewire assumptions about people and jealousy of people. That it really has to do with my own self, and it has to do with wanting status versus looking inside yourself to what you would actually want in a partner or even in a friend group. You know, like, I want to be in the group picture,
right?
And my friend group needs to be handsome.
But then it's like, my biggest fear is like my friend group looking all the same. It's like, you know, like that, because everyone knows that photo where it's like the group of like 8 white gays, and you're just like, yes, and that's what like I'm just like, I just like want friends who are not like me. Like, I just want, you know.
Yeah, you don't want to look like sort of an angry West Side Story gang, but marching through West Hollywood. I think all of it comes down to just like talking to people and getting their actual story and not judging and not making assumptions about people. And one of the other like most healing things was when I was a woman, I went to this autostraddle camp, this summer camp for queer people more broadly. And the people there that were like top dog, hottest people that were like getting the most attention were not societally conventionally attractive, right? But they had swagger and they were like funny, and that was what everybody was attracted to and wanted to be around, and it broke my brain. And I was like, right, like these are the like daddies who are like getting everyone and
probably are much happier than the other people.
Yeah, and the aspects of them that I found sexy were not what somebody who's scrambling to be the heteronormative ideal would have.
Right.
They don't have to break their jaw.
Oh God.
With a tiny hammer.
A golden hammer. And again, like, it all comes back full circle to our inability for nuance and discomfort and to ask the awkward questions and to sit and, you know, nurture these relationships when it's so much easier to just be like, I'm upset because I don't think I have an easy life as you do, and so everything that you say is dumb.
Yeah. But thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you and more about you?
You can find me on Instagram at Aidan Wharton, Aidan. You can find me on Substack at Gay Buffet, and you can listen to my podcast, Getting Close, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Thank you for listening to 1,000 Natural Shocks, a Bad with Money podcast. This is a noted bisexual production, edited by Allie Mims. Logo art by Dakota Becker. If you like the show, please consider subscribing to the Substack, 1000naturalshocks.substack.com. The Substack has episodes of this show ad-free and also videos and also my original writing. It would mean so much to me if you would subscribe, even as a free subscriber, but a paid subscriber really allows me to keep doing this work, and I can't do it without you guys. Thank you so much. Okay, love you. Bye.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.